I'm delighted to say Chris Sims joins us, former NFL quarterback, co-host of Pro Football Talk. You've got your own online streaming outlets as well. Have I covered everything there? Have I missed anything?
Yeah, Chris Sims Unbuttoned, right? I got a pretty good following in the UK there.
Yes, you do.
I love it. Yeah, my podcast is all football, X's and O's. Not going to be a lot of fun talk. We kind of dig into it, and I swear a lot, but we have fun doing it.
How have you found this week? Certainly the last 24 hours, business has picked up for me on Radio Row.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. It's getting to that time where you just know, like, hey, all the big ballers of America and everywhere else that are into the spectacle, the Super Bowl, are starting to fly in. The day here is not as crazy as it was maybe yesterday, a Friday compared to a Thursday. But I mean, for me, not only is it's Mahomes and maybe the dynasty and the 49ers and one of the greatest organizations ever. It's all of that. I too am very close with Kyle Shanahan, so we went to college together. Got a lot of friends and family coming out this weekend, so it's a lot of excitement for me personally and just because of professionally.
Well, we're going to focus on the two offenses shortly because we've got Rob Ryan on the show today as well, talking defense. Before we get to that, big breaking news coming out of Vegas this morning. The NFL's global expansion shows no signs of slowing down. 2025, they're going to play a regular season game in Spain at Real Madrid's Bernabeu Stadium. What's your instant reaction to that?
Wow. I just can't get over how it's growing, expanding, right? I mean, earlier this week, I never thought we'd have an announcement going, hey, we're going to play a game in Brazil, right? That to me was
on kickoff weekend as well.
Right, on a Friday. So I didn't expect any of that. But hey, as a football fan, I love it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, hey, with the world shrinking, social media, jets are getting faster, all of that. I live in an area just north of New York City where we have a lot of transient people from Europe. And I can feel that, the European culture is a little bit like, hey, this football is kind of cool. Like, I don't know all the rules yet, but it's kind of cool and I'm getting it. And it's just exciting to see that spread.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't heard the commissioner mention it this week, but certainly at his Super Bowl press conference 12 months ago and in the regular season prior to that, he did just throw out there this idea that maybe one day there could be a division based in Europe. And no one really seems to pick up on it. But you look at games being scheduled for London now, Germany, Spain comes online. The Pittsburgh Steelers have invested into the marketing rights of Ireland in the past few months. There's talk as well about the possibility of staging games in France.
Yeah.
Hey, is that really becoming a possibility?
I mean, I think it's definitely on the NFL's radar. I don't think there's any question about that they would one day ultimately like to have the goal of having a few teams that are, one or two in England, another team maybe in Germany, whatever, and a team would go over there and have to kind of play a Europe, instead of the West Coast trip, the Euro Coast trip, and go up that way and play those teams. Yeah, I think that's on the NFL's radar. There's a lot to do there, right? One, you're going to ask people to live in another country that are like, wait, I'm from Texas and I'm going to be living on Paris.
The weather's
now.
a bit different.
Weather, currency, right? The travel, the schedule, all that will definitely add some, juggling by the NFL policymakers that they'll have to figure out.
Well, that's all in the future. We don't know yet. What we do know is there will be games in 2025 in the UK, in Germany, and Spain. That is confirmed. Focusing on the job at hand, Super Bowl 58 this weekend.
Right.
I would say two elite offenses. Certainly the San Francisco 49ers have been red hot for the vast majority of the season until we got to the playoffs.
Right.
The Kansas City Chiefs uncharacteristically haven't and yet come to the postseason. Patrick Mahomes, this team, managed to elevate their game. They get the job done. They're here again. What do you see?
Yeah, well, the Chiefs are incredible. I mean, they played kind of B- football the whole season. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, it's New Year's, let's be a Super Bowl team. And they snapped their fingers and all of a sudden started to execute, stop doing dumb stuff that we saw them ruin football games, whatever, right? So that you don't see that happen much, but they're special and they're capable of pulling it off. And it feels like, hey, they embraced who they are. They understand they're a defensive football team. They're not high-flying like they were a few years ago and throwing for 400 yards a game and doing all that. They're fine in being 20-17, 17-14. Mahomes will be efficient, pick his player or two to make a big play to help the team win. It's remarkable. They seem like they're peaking and, playing, like you said, as good as they've had the whole year. You said it right, too, about the 49ers. The 49ers, here's my big thing, Neil, is I mean, if both teams play their best football, the 49ers are better. They are. But we haven't seen the 49ers play their best football since mid-December, right? You just alluded to 2 playoff games. They were outplayed. I mean, really, Green Bay should have beat them. The Lions should have beat them, right? So I look at it and go, wait, can the 49ers regain like that November,
Can you flick a light
December?
switch?
Right. That's hard to do, right? You know, I've only seen the special do it, like we just talked about the Chiefs a little doing that all of a sudden. So because of that, I'm rooting for the 49ers because my buddy is Kyle Shanahan. But my X's and O's and football acumen tell me that, yeah, the Chiefs are going to win a close one right now because they're kind of playing their best ball, and the 49ers, it seems like, peaked too early.
Well, let's talk about that because we know what Patrick Mahomes brings to the table.
Right.
He's done it, been there, bought the T-shirt, reigning Super Bowl champion, reigning Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant 2 years ago.
Right.
It's unprecedented what he's done to this point.
Right.
In the 2 postseason games we've seen so far, though, he's been shaky to start with, and now he's going up against a team that has a number 2 ranked defense and is second best in the league when it comes to sacking the quarterback this season.
Right.
For Trent Williams, that offensive line, this will be the biggest game of their lives.
Definitely. It's a big game, not only because of the talent on Kansas City, it's the coaching they have. Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, is without a doubt one of the most creative, best defensive coordinators in football. Brock Purdy's going to have a lot on his plate, right? I would think the 49ers don't come out too crazy aggressive because they're going to be a little bit like, hey, they're good, they do a lot of stuff. Let's feel it out a little bit first. Instead of like, hey, let's come out aggressive, and all of a sudden you get, sacked and fumble or throw an interception, and you go, oh no, now we're down and it's Mahomes.
They can't afford to go down in this game early, can they?
They cannot. I would agree with you there. The one thing I'll say with the silver lining of the last 2 weeks for the 49ers on your Brock Purdy point, if it is a close game, the fact that he brought them back in both games to win that, I do think the team will go, wait, we've been here, this guy can do this. And that'll allow them to keep fighting instead of, right now, I think there is a feeling around the league like, oh, Mahomes has the ball late, we're going to lose. It's inevitable, right?
Do we expect a defensive game?
You know, it's crazy. I do. I'm expecting it, but I don't feel confident in that. I don't. You know, as talented as the offenses are, and, you know, of course, the quarterback play high level.
CJ Stroud's walking past you there.
CJ Stroud, the man. And then I also think with, you know, I do think I look at it as like there's no in between. It might be 20-17. It could be 38-35. I could see it going both ways there. So that's where it's hard to tell because, too, with the talent of these offenses, they start to get a feel, hey, wait, we've got 2 weeks of game plan. We got a few plays that they haven't seen. That's where I'm expecting defensive, but I would not be shocked if it got higher scoring than we expect.
Well, look, if it finishes 38-35, we are in for a classic.